Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So as you can see behind me, I'm out in the woods. I'm not at the track. So we're doing something a little bit different. I'm not changing up the channel and like the content. I'm not changing it completely or nothing like that. We're still racing. We're still doing all those things. I just figured I might as well do videos on what my next most favorite thing to do, which is out here at my property in Middle Tennessee. So my wife and I just recently bought 40 acres in, like I said, Middle Tennessee, and it was for the most part undeveloped. The area that I'm standing in right now was logged back in the 70s, and then that's it. It was just used as a hunting, place for the previous owners, and even then, they really didn't use it much because the folks that owned it. He was a lineman, for electrical lines, and so he traveled a lot and was hardly ever here. So this property just kind of just sat unmaintained. So I'm making this video because I recently bought a brand new 2022 John Deere 3038E tractor. And if you're like me, you're a person who recently bought property, or you're looking at buying property, because I know there is a mass exodus, from, people come from California, the upper northeast, places that are, lack of a better description, like overtaxed and overgoverned and not really quite looking like America anymore. So you're trying to stretch your dollar a little bit. You're looking to retire, or you're looking just to get away to some peace and quiet. You're probably looking at land, and you're starting to look at some type of equipment to help develop that land. So that's why I'm making this video. I spent a good, I'd say 2 solid months researching what equipment I was looking to buy, or what major purchase I'm going to get, because buying a tractor or buying a skid steer or an excavator, dozer, whatever, that's a big purchase. It's not something that you want to skimp out on, because if you skimp out on it and you buy cheap, you're going to end up buying again, and so you spent twice the money that you originally planned on it, or you spend a lot of time with a piece of equipment that's broken, or you spend a lot of time doing maintenance on it and you're not getting your job done that you need to get done. And if you don't buy things cash, we were fortunate enough that we had we have the finances that we're able to buy this property cash, so we don't have any debt. But not everybody's in that position, so you must finance, and things get under a time crunch. So basically what I'm getting at is I'm gonna tell you why I bought this over a skid steer, over an excavator, over a dozer, over a smaller tractor, or a bigger tractor. Okay, so I'm going to show you what we got here. So let's back up. So 2022 John Deere 3038E 300E loader. I do have the Frontier box blade and a Frontier brush hog, which is the 60-inch model, both of them. The 3038E, this is the model that came with the turbocharged Yanmar. So there's two different models. There's one that's non-turbocharged, and there's a turbocharged model. So this is the turbo model. It's a little dusty because I've now got officially 10 full working hours on this thing. So it's time to do its first maintenance, which is just greasing up the joints. But anyhow, this is a Yanmar motor that's in here. Let's see. Let me look at this here. I can't remember exactly what size Yanmar it is. I want to say it's like a 2.8, or let's see. Oil filter, oil. I'm not seeing it, so forgive my ignorance, but this is the turbocharged model, so I believe it's 38 horsepower. The non-turbocharged model, I think, is like 25 or 27, something like that. So I decided to go with this because across the property there is 33 acres on the other side of the road, and there is some very steep hills that need trails cut, that need clearing, and I needed a tractor that can climb those hills without any issues and still be able to work, in a relatively tough environment, like moving big trees and moving a lot of dirt. And as you can see, we've already cut some very wide roads in this property with this tractor and a chainsaw. So just my wife and I. So back up the tractor so I can point some things out. So the 3038E is still considered a compact size tractor. The next size up, I think, is the 4000 series, and it does get considerably larger. smaller series, the 2000 series, and then I think you have like the 1000 series, which is just pretty much like a glorified lawnmower, which has a bucket, a mid-deck mower, and then it has a backhoe on the back. Perfect if you have like 5 acres and you're not, you're not moving a whole lot of really heavy stuff. You're not, cutting in roads and they're going to have to maintain them with gravel and all that stuff, because the bucket is tiny. You're going to be making 1,000,001 trips. So like I said, it's perfect if you just have a very big yard or a very, large field, and you just want to maintain that. You need to do a little bit of digging. You can use the backhoe to pick things up, but it looks very utilitarian for what it is, but it's not nearly as durable, and it doesn't have the grunt that this thing has. Okay, so John Deere, well, the salesman told me anything over 12 acres, 12 to like 15 acres or 20 acres, you start getting into 3000 series, because I got all the hills and I have streams and I have, like there's another, it gets muddy in here and all kinds of stuff. And he recommended I go with this because the 4000 series was just entirely too big. So anyhow, I would do a disclaimer. I do understand that the tractor market is a global market, meaning a lot of these parts that are on these tractors are either international, they're used across different brands. So regardless of what brand, you're a fan of, a lot of them use the same parts. A lot of them are made overseas. There is no single, tractor brand that is 100% United States, made in the USA. So as much as there's diehard John Deere people, there is stamps all over this tractor that says made in the USA, made in India, made in Mexico, made in different things. So just understand it is a global market. So if you're looking at John Deere because it's an American brand and it's been around for all these years, just know there's a lot of it's made overseas. Okay. So it has the 300E. Let's talk about the features. So it comes standard with the 300E front loader, which on this horsepower model, I believe it picks up roughly about 2,000 pounds. I've had no issues getting into the woods, cutting down a tree, and picking up the tree with the bucket and moving it out of the way. And I'm talking very big trees, not some of these little junior trees you see here, very large trees. Let's see, the bucket. Now this is the attachments. This is a John Deere specific thing. So when you get attachments on the front, you have to get John Deere style attachments. That's the only downside to this. It doesn't have the quick release like skid steer style that some people are used to with 2 little latches. This is the John Deere style, which is 2 release pins down here, and then you just maneuver the bucket down, and these arms, you angle them, and it comes off of the bracket, and then you pick up your next piece. But again, it has to be a John Deere specific one. Awesome. This is, again, no issues. I can't complain about it. It's done everything I've needed to so far. I usually run it in the front as I'm going through the brush, as a shield, because I don't want sharp branches and sticks coming through the front, because all there is this metal mesh here, and then you go straight to your trans cooler or oil cooler. Then you got your battery down there and your radiator. There is a guard on the front, and it's roughly, I think it's 1/4 inch thick steel. Super tough. I've already accidentally bumped it against things, and it hasn't shifted, hasn't bent. Now, John Deere talks about this composite stuff because they switch to a composite frames or panels because it doesn't rust. It feels like plastic to me. It is relatively durable unless you're moving a bunch of trees like I was, and one decides to stick itself into the ground and then come up and into the tractor. So I've had one issue with it, what I did not like, and it was maybe after 2 or 3 hours of running the tractor, a stick came up in here somewhere, wedged itself, and it popped this plastic panel off, and it doesn't quite fit right anymore because it's plastic. And that's the one thing that I do not like about this tractor so far is the too much plastic. Or composite, whatever the hell they want to call it. But other than that, it's great. On the left side of the tractor, you're supposed to get up on the left side because there's a step stool here. Handle. You got a little compartment for if you want to keep a handful of tools. Pop that open, or a manual or whatnot. Again, plastic. All this is plastic. Seat is super comfortable. Underneath the seat, you got 4 springs, so when you're bouncing along, it doesn't kill you. It doesn't kill your kidneys or rattle the fillings out of your head. It does come with a ROPS, which is a rollover protection system. John Deere recommends if you have the hoop up, you should have your seatbelt on. If you have the hoop down, take your seatbelt off, because if you don't, there's a good chance that you can't get off the tractor when it rolls over, and it could hurt you bad. I run it down because there's a lot of branches over my head, and my garage that I got to drive this thing into, the ROPS is just entirely too tall. Now, when I go over on the other side of the property, when there's hills and there's a potential to tip, I put the ROPS up. Okay, so you got a parking brake. This is hydrostatic transmission, meaning there's no clutches, so you don't have to operate a clutch. This is, there you have forward and reverse pedals over here, and then you have high, neutral, low. High, good if you're running around the farm and you're not doing a whole lot of work, you're just kind of cruising along. Put it in high, RPMs around 12 to 1500 RPM, and just let her do her thing. You have, right here, you have your four-wheel drive that you can lock it out or engage it. I keep it on all the time because of where, again, this property gets muddy and it's rutted out and stuff, so might as well just leave the four-wheel drive do its thing. This pedal acts as a diff lock and the brake. So while it's running, if you partially depress it, it will lock the rear differential so both tires spin together. And if you fully depress it, it becomes a brake. Okay. On the steering wheel and the gauge cluster, very super simple. Turn signals. If you put a cab on it, which you can do your windshield washers or run your windshield wipers. Regen, turn off the regen. Of course, that is your hazards, headlights, work lamps, and then down in here, so if I hit this, if I hit the hazards, you have your little infotainment, or I want to call it infotainment, but your little information screen pops up and tells you, different, or how many engine hours you got, how many tractor hours you got, I believe, temperature, and maybe a few other things. So I'm going to turn that off. On the ROPS, you do have, of course, you get your turn signals. And then if you want to add like a work light here, you can. Back side of it is the brake light. Fuel tank is here. It has a 3-point hitch, style hitch. If you're not familiar with it, it's been around for ages. If you ask your salesman, he'll show you how to hook everything up and hook it up and disconnect it. I opted for the industrial tires with ballast. So when I say with ballast means is you can have the tires filled with a liquid that adds additional weight to the tractor to prevent it from rolling over and to give it rear ballast. So if you're running a bucket and you're trying to pick something up and say you don't have weight over the rear axle, like your box blade or brush hog, you have additional weight by adding ballast to the tires. Okay. Now, if you can get the turf tires, which is not supposed to tear up your grass so much, but I'm not so much worried about that because of what we're doing out here, so I opted for the industrial tires, and these things are freaking amazing because I've run over all kinds of stuff and been in a lot of mud and gone up steep hills with really soft soil, and it has gone right up like a mule. PTO. So when you want to run your box blade, or if you want to run a high flow attachment back here, so if you want to run like a mulcher in the front or in the back or something like that, they make an attachment here that runs off the PTO that it gives you a high flow hydraulic pressure. It attaches here and you can run it to the front, and I believe you can also run it to the back. Again, super easy to operate. Just keep it lubricated, keep it clean, you won't have any issues. Again, more plastic, composite. The RPM is just like a riding lawnmower. Turtle for slow, rabbit for fast. It has provisions for additional buttons, so if you want to put in more lights or speakers, or you want to get fancy and add stuff to it, you can. But it comes standard with, there's your PTO button, and it has a 12-volt socket. So if you want to put your phone or something in there that needs 12 volts, like cigarette lighter style, you can do that. Standard cup holder. No beer for me. I need some go juice, and then a little pocket, but I just keep my 1911 there because where I'm at is known for having the meth heads just randomly wander on people's property. Front bucket controller or hydraulics are super simple. If you've never done it before, there is a picture here so you can fiddle fart around with it, or ask the salesman, he'll show you. There is a hydraulic lockout, so you pull that out, and this way nobody can mess with it, or if you're bumping along, you don't accidentally hit it and spill your load. Again, hydrostatic trans. So if you either have it in, as long as it's not in neutral, it's in high or low, forward arrow goes forward, reverse arrow goes reverse. Super simple. The harder you press it, the faster you go. The easier you press it, the slower you go. Again, just like a big riding lawnmower. More composite, and that's pretty much it in terms of like the overview of the tractor. I'll just say the only thing I don't like about it, and I said on the other side, is too much freaking plastic. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So I'm in the woods, and so that means I'm running over a lot of brush and sticks and things like that. The one thing that I do not like, that I wish there was an upgrade for, was like maybe a forestry package where it would let me put skid plates under this thing. Because as you can see, most of the sticks go into this axle, but it does not protect these hydraulic lines, nor does it protect the plastic brackets that hold them. Okay, so that's one thing that I do not like that John Deere did, is they put plastic brackets on all of their hydraulic lines, at least the ones that I see under the tractor. So the ones that go under, that are slightly exposed, you could damage them. I already had a branch go between them and break a bracket that's just behind my hand here. And then where the pedals are, there is a gap. Let's see if I can show you. Okay, this gap here, I had a branch go between this gap and then wedge my pedal. It wedged it in reverse, and I was right next to the riverbank, which, like, had I not got it out of there, my ginger behind would have wound up in the freaking river. So that's my biggest complaint, is just the fact that it's just the undercarriage is exposed as it is. Wish there was a forestry package, and then just the plastic brackets. That's the one thing that I don't like. All in all, though, I chose this because it is a good happy medium between a skid steer. It's bigger than those little tiny 1025 or like the Kubota 2800 series or whatever. It has way more capability than that. The lifting capability, and then the ability to drag 60-inch implements behind it, saves you a lot of time. And you're not looking at a huge price difference between the small, like, super compact tractors to like this mid-size compact tractor. So really, if you're financing it, you're only talking about $100, maybe more on your payment than what you would have had. And I know for some people that's everything, but really think about your choices and like how much capability you have. So again, I have 40 acres. The 3038E has done everything I've asked it to it hasn't got stuck. I've probably overloaded it, and it took it just fine. Super comfortable, very easy to ride. My wife has hopped on this thing, and she is not familiar with heavy equipment at all, but she's familiar with our riding mower and is able to operate this as well. So if you're in the market for a mid-size tractor, I highly recommend the John Deere 3038E turbocharged model, not the non-turbocharged model. And if you have any questions about this piece of equipment behind me, feel free to ask, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. I am by no means a John Deere expert. This is my first tractor, okay? So let me say that. I've had a lot of race cars, I've had a lot of trucks, I've had a lot of cool shit, but this is my first tractor. And of course, I got my obligatory John Deere hat that was given to me by my salesman. So, hey, why the heck not? I'm out here. It's a work hat. Going bald anyway. So, like I said, guys, hit me up if you got any questions. Appreciate you. Be safe out there. If I see you at the racetrack, feel free to come up and say hello. If you're in Tennessee and you're looking for a place to hang out, during the summertime, hit me up. I got you. Take care. Be safe.